What is a supernatural event that happened in your life that just cannot be explained? I don't know if I'd call it supernatural, but it was freaky and I still don't understand. I was in the kitchen cleaning up waiting for my kid's bus. I saw it pull up, and saw him get off. He didn't come in, but he'd started playing around with hiding under the window to jump out at me and say boo, so I thought that's what he was doing. But I walked out and he wasn't there. I called his name, and looked around the house thinking he was hiding from me, but I couldn't find him. I circled the house calling for him, and the parent panic set in. It probably only lasted 90 seconds, but it felt a lot longer. Then his bus pulled up and he got off. I had a phase in my mid-teens when I would read the obituaries in the local newspaper. I saw a name that was familiar as it was the same as a family friend. It had his full first, middle, and last names. I didn't say anything to my parents since I figured they already knew. A few days later my mom told me he died and I said I knew since I saw his obit. She said, he died last night in his sleep. I went back through the newspapers. My mom kept them for a week before throwing them out, but the obit wasn't there. When the real obit came out it had his first and last name but just his middle initial. This was almost 40 years ago and I still think about it. This didn't happen to me, but a very nice old man and his wife used to live a few streets over from us. Well, she got very sick and his son flew in to help watch and care for her. A few weeks later she moved to hospice and later died. The night she died her husband and son drive home and they were talking about what to do for the funeral and the husband asked, "Do you think she'd want, some person, to attend?" And they both said they heard the dead mom/wife in the back seat say no thank you. A couple years ago my father's immediate family had a reunion in Minnesota. We stayed at a little cabin on a lake. Of course, sitting around the campfire my uncle was telling us all of his ghost stories which put me just a bit on edge. Later when I went back to my room to go to sleep, I flipped off the light switch, and immediately both closet doors popped fully open. I lost my shit. I used to work at a Boy Scout camp. My personal cabin was the furthest away from the center of the camp, about 2 miles from everyone else. One night I was walking down the trail at 3 a.m. Through the shadows I saw a hand reach out to grab me. I panicked and took out my pocket knife and stabbed at it. Then, silence. That hand was gone. My knife was still in the air. I ran as fast as I could back to my cabin. A clod of red earth fell from above onto the windscreen of our car some years ago. The dust took a dozen or so swipes of the wipers to wet and removed. Almost caused us to crash. It was dark out, and once our view was restored, we could see a dancing dog in the middle of the road, illuminated by the headlights. It was facing the car, swaying side to side onto its left legs then right, as if we were watching a rocking horse from the side. We reversed up the single-lane, high-hedged country road until it was out of sight. Absolutely terrified us,